Mhm.
And now we're live. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I am here with Jimmy Newson. What's the subtitle? The impact influencer? Because I really like the profit maker or profit producer.
Right. And so believe it or not, the impact influencer has a bigger scope than the profit producer.
Okay.
And that's and again, the profit producer was given to me by someone, and then the impact influencer was given to me by someone who said we got to think bigger than the profit producer. And so
Okay.
to quickly explain that, she goes, the problem is the profit producer can actually be misleading because profit for those in business, we think profit, money, revenue, but profit is also religion.
Yeah.
So there you go. And as a marketer, you want clarity. You don't want to leave things up to interpretation. And
Yeah.
then she goes, what you usually bring to the table is impact and influence. So not as an influence as, Instagram influencer, it's influence as how you're able to influence people and give them an opportunity to see farther, deeper into themselves, into their business. And I always talk about what impact are we having in our community, locally, regionally, nationally, and globally. And that's how that kind of came together.
I can see that. But having an influence and being a prophet, whatever you tell me, if I do it, if I follow directions, I get what you tell me the results will be. So I can see that you're being a prophet because I figure that you've been there. That's how you're able to tell me. Anybody's listening right now, if you know Jimmy Newson, if you follow directions that he gives you, you get the results that he tell you you're going to get. So yeah. Was it the same person who gave you the new name, the impact influencer, the same person that gave you the profit producer?
No,
How?
no. It's like, and that's where you have to be open, because the funny thing is when I met the person who helped me see bigger and we came up with the impact influencer, she was, she goes, listen, I want to tell you something, but don't necessarily take offense to it. And when you always hear that, your heart just kind of sinks down because you're going, oh God, what are they going to say? And she was like, I understand where you're coming with from the profit producer, but then she explained the bigger picture, and my mind was open enough because I put a lot of work into getting to the point to be named the profit producer. So I felt like, that was a huge hill we climbed to come up with a moniker that could be something that people would know me by, so it's a hard pill to swallow when you're so invested in it. But still, I'm not invested in a thing. I'm invested in the ideal of what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And so if that thing doesn't, now if there's something better that can serve that purpose, I have to consider it, which means I have to have an open mind and listen and go. If you produce a solid reason why, and she did, and it made sense, and I said, you're absolutely right. I was happy, and I said, thank you, because that's somebody in your community looking out for you and willing to go against the grain and tell you things you may not want to hear, but hope that you're open enough to listen.
Yeah. I like that about you. It's like you don't have to take time and to consider the pivot. You just do it. Like if it
I
makes
just
sense
do
for
it.
you, you do it.
I am not playing around, and it's experimental. A lot of this stuff is experimental, and as a smaller business, you have that ability. You have that leadway, and they say fail and fail fast. So let's just go and let's give it a try. You're always weighing all these other things as you're making these decisions. So it's not like you're just making them willy nilly, and you still have to use some level of logic and experience and expertise. But as you do it more and more, it actually becomes easier and easier because you're always working based on some type of construct that you've built in your mind that helps you make these decisions better, quicker, faster, and get some level of results from.
Yeah. Your company name, Moving Forward Small Business. My favorite saying is keep moving forward, like to not stay stagnant. Don't be stale. I see you doing it. I see you being an example of moving forward. I like that about you, by the way. One I can't remember when it was, but once we interviewed, I think you've been on the show at least 4 times now, but you spoke about knowing your what's it called? Your position, knowing
USP, unique
where
selling
you want to
proposition.
go. And it was something else, and your values.
Mhm.
That was like, I clipped it up and I put it on TikTok, and it's like the most viewed TikTok that I have.
Oh.
Do you get a lot of questions about that?
I do a lot of talking about that now.
Okay.
So it's not even about the question, because when business owners, and like I said, I've been talking all over the world all last year, and we're already starting to do it again this year. What I've come to realize is people don't have a digital marketing problem. They don't have an HR problem. They don't have a finance problem. They have a strategy problem. And at the root of strategy is purpose, vision, and values. And when you have those 3 things, they tell you where you're supposed to go, why you're doing what you're doing, and how you and others are supposed to behave as you do it. And when you're looking at these 3 things, now you can start to make decisions on, well, what should I be doing? Is it digital marketing? Is it human resources? Is there a deeper underlying reason why things are not working? And so, yeah, so coming back to that. So yeah, I get a few questions, but I don't get them as much because they don't realize that is usually the root of the problem. So now I made that a huge talking point for us moving into 2023, to the point that in 2024, we want to do a 10-city tour called the Strategy Tour, which is going to focus on vision, purpose, values, and the foundational structure that's going to allow you to grow and build not only faster, but consistently, and it could be reliable.
So purpose, value, I can't even say it now. Purpose, values, and what was the last one?
Vision.
Vision. You've always had a community, a membership, and now I feel like the new, I want to say revamp, but it's always been there, and I've always really enjoyed it. But are you doing something different with it now, with moving forward small business and community building? Because you host a lot of events. So
Yeah.
And your events is in this membership, and I like that idea. I hadn't thought of it before until I talked to you.
Yeah, and this is because, moving forward small business. So the part of the reason why I created moving forward small business, let's take it back a few years. I created this in 2020 of April. Was that I was doing, I do tons of partnership events, big partners, small partners, I don't, it's usually not, it's not even about the size, it's about the context of what we're talking about and the need of that information for our community. So I needed a place that I wanted to bring everybody together that I owned. We need to own our community. And so, and there's things that are going on in the industry that are out of our control. So, so I'm gonna go off on a tangent for a second, and let's take Google, for example. And I'm not going to talk about chat GTP thing, all that stuff. I'm going to talk about the third-party cookie going away. And when the third-party cookie goes away, which I think is very soon, we have, that's what we call that third-party data. Now we have to rely on first-party data, second-party data, and there's a thing called zero-party data as well. So first-party data is the people that you have direct access to be able to communicate with, to be able to get information from them, from their address to what their problems are, to what their purchasing habits are. Second party data is the data you get through your partners and through people that you're working with. And then the objective is you need a place to pull these people. And so, we originally did our membership site maybe about a year ago. But we didn't really put a lot of emphasis on it because we were really focusing on content creation. So we had the membership there. There was a free version, and there was different variations of that. And then, of course, so we're doing events, whether they're one-off events, virtual summits, webinar trainings, live events, because live events came back last year. And people come, they'll watch. Of course, they say the money's in the list. But I think the new currency is community. Because I thought about
That should be a
I
t-shirt. The new
actually
currency
wrote
is
it down.
community.
And so I wanted to say it today. So this is the first time I'm actually saying what I just said there. The money's in the list, but the new currency is community. So yeah, I'm going to make a little thing on that. And what that means is you got to build a place where people can come together and, of course, to network and this and that. But there's this level of people wanting to be connected together. And when I say that, people think in person. I go, no, that can be done online as well. I'm here, someone's in Turkey, another person's in London, and so why not? So we revamped the membership site, and the real focus of the membership site is about action. How many times have you joined membership sites and programs, and it's the big pitch is access to tens of courses, hundreds of courses, but nobody really has time for that. And what happens is they'll join, and then after a while, they just stop interacting because there's no component that drives them to go back in and want to take a course when they're tired. Okay. So for us, we're like, let's look at, and I'll give a lot of credit to a gentleman who I got this concept from, Zach Spuckler, who does a great job of talking about this type of membership structure. And so it's really based on 4 things. One is every month we have an action plan, so it's a very specific thing we're going to do based on what the membership is all about. The second part of that is we do a monthly call to go over that action plan. And then we do a implementation week where we implement together that. And then the last one is we have a closing convo and coffee call where we talk about what went right, what went wrong, what we had problem with, what was successful. And then we do that every single month. So regardless of any courses they ever take, there's always action being done.
I like that. I need a favor now. Would you show us the membership site, please? I'm not sure if you got it up now, but
I'll show you the
up,
front end. We're using a platform called Circle to actually host the interactive session. But this here is the page where you get all this information. So we really did a great job of laying it out. And this is like, we were supposed to launch a month ago. And at the end of the day, it's like, I don't want to do this twice, so, it's a results-oriented membership. So, we describe the audience a bit. We talk about, we name the audience. So they're the strategy-aligned professionals. So, and that includes entrepreneurs, small business owners, and business professionals, which means that you don't necessarily have to own the business. You might work for someone. But the objective is you still need some of this mindset stuff. And you also need actionable things that you can do to bring back to your team or whatnot. So, it's really about, we have a ton of on demand stuff. But the key element here is this strategy alignment 5-part strategy structure. The action plan, the training call, the implementation week, the coaching call, and then the community. And the community, which we built on Circle, has all this access to everything. So now, let's say you're signing up to take a course from some organization. What's the chances of you meeting other people that are also taking the course when you see, 500 people are currently taking this course, but you're the only one, but you're taking it by yourself. With this, you can go into the community and start to talk to people about that particular course and have interaction, almost like a Facebook type of feel, so you're communicating, we're doing open office hours. All those videos come into the platform so they can find all the resources. And so you could have multiple of these running within in the community, and only people have access to the things that matter the most to them. So it could be a ton of stuff going on in there, but you're only going to see things that you're connected to. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. And so, we got the first 90 days. So we really wanted to make sure that people know, well, what's going to happen in this thing here. Some of the topics we cover, and everything. And even though we're talking about market research and business plan actions and win-win partnerships, a lot of the stuff we're teaching, we're also doing. And like you said before, and I think that's important because, I'm working on some incredible partnership opportunities with a lot of different businesses, some very big ones, but then some that are not big, but they're very unique in the way that they get things done. So we're looking for value. And then what is all this? All this comes back to strategy. Well, if part of your strategy is to expand into a marketplace, some of the things are going to be important. If part of one of your strategic structures or focus areas is to improve employee expectations of the organization, then you can talk about DEIB strategies and community building strategies, and community building for growth. So we talk about these things because we're doing it. If you're having problems, keeping up, and you're constantly missing goals, or you don't know how to set goals for other people to make sure that their goals align with your goals, we've got time blocking strategies, because I call it knowledge junkies. They go to these conferences, they get tons of information. They're high on this information. They go home, they're high on it, and by day 3, they're back to business as normal. So it's like everything they learned went out the door. And that's because
information can be so shiny.
Well, what it is if you like the information enough and you see the value of what that could do for you personally or professionally, you have to now figure out, how do I integrate this into my life? And that's where they usually fall. And that's where time blocking goes. So there's 24 hours in a day, and there's 7 days in a week. And that's as far as my math is going to go right now. But what happens is I go, all right, I need to start doing that. Well, if you've got a calendar, you need to go in there and go, how many times a week can I add this into my calendar? Something's got to go in and something's got to come out. And if you can block it in, now it starts to become part of your daily activity. And now you can actually start to use it because you said that this is valuable to me. And this is something that will help me grow. At the end of the year, you made these resolutions. And if you haven't really put any focus on them, even though you had every intention to do so, you won't see the growth in that area, because life sets in and we get busy. But what are we busy doing? So I know we're supposed to be talking about community and how that is related to, how that ties into virtual events. But the key here is there are all these elements that have to tie together to build a community, because when we talk about membership, we're talking about a community. And so as we're building this community, the value of the membership is the community and all the elements that you're going to bring together for that community to be successful. And they have you to thank for that. Now you can do surveys with them. I run an accelerator in Manhattan, and every 2 months I have 25 new businesses. So I have very specific questions because they have to apply. And those questions give me so much incredible data about my organization and actually how I ended up setting up this membership. Because, it's one thing to say, hey, you're having trouble building, growing, we're going to give you some training to help you grow. Well, the training alone is not going to help them grow, because even if they read it, there's a 80% chance they're not going to implement correctly. So then they don't do it, and then they move on to the next thing. We don't want them to have to move over to the next thing. We want them to go, we really like this. We want to be their growth strategic partner for the next 5 to 10 years. That's our lifetime value of a customer that comes to moving forward small business. Now, in order for them to do that, what do we have to guarantee? That they're going to grow. And we do that through tracking their growth, through a tool called Cascade. This is years of just knowledge now crammed into a thing that is now a product. So we can do virtual summits and do all these other things. And we've got a captive audience of people who know we constantly deliver. There's going to be a lot more engagement and a lot more excitement around things that you do moving forward. And that community becomes that central hub that you can leverage to really get things done and bring in the right partners and the right opportunities. So, just to close this out, we got some bonuses so right now we're in our founding member section, our founding member for the month of March, and we priced it for founding members at, the membership is $49. We did $30 for the month and $300 for the year. And we answered some really cool questions because they probably have some questions. I'm getting questions because we actually just relaunched this today. So I'm excited to, a lot of people are seeing this for the first time. We haven't even started running our ads yet because we'll be doing all these things because we have to drive traffic, but we're very clear on our purpose, our values, our vision, what we stand for, who we help, how we help them, and how we're going to help them make an impact in the world.
I really like that, Jamie. The reason why I wanted to have you here on the show to talk about moving forward small business, having you on to talk about the memberships that you've created is because you have a nice membership and you just happen to host events. For everyone out there that's hosting events and want to get their business actually moving forward, I think they need to talk to you. So that's why I really wanted to have you here.
I appreciate it. And it's fun. And the thing is, like even on earlier this week when I did a cohort of, again, small business owners in New York City in person. And one of the young ladies, she's a very small business. She makes jewelry. And, so we're coming out with ways to think bigger. And, so we asked, what are you struggling with? So they talk about what they're struggling with. And I also asked, what are you good at? And one thing she mentioned, she goes, well, I have a partnership in Brooklyn to be able to, it's like a what do they call it? Like a open fair type place where, people collect. And I go back to them and talk about you pulling together other independent jewelry makers and do jewelry making day, and she was like, oh, wow, that sounds great, but it sounds hard. I go, but guess what? You know me, you're in my group. So I can share with you. And this is where we realize we want to put that more in a membership because that community can really build and grow together. And that's worth my time to share these things that are so personal to what I've done and what I've seen. And I'm going, the beauty of being a part of this cohort is you're not alone. So I'm not just going to give you an idea and then expect you to go out and figure it out, because I understand that's scary. You're like, okay, it's great that you said it, Jimmy. You've done stuff like this before. And I'm going, and guess what? You now have me in your corner. So let's figure out, how do we get this done? Can I give you 100% of my time? Absolutely not. But can we do something in group structure? Can we do something maybe once in a while, one-on-one? And I give you some of my insight and talking points? Absolutely. In this type of setting, because that's how we're going to have to grow. We need, I didn't learn everything I learned by figuring it out. I figured out a lot of stuff, but I had people help me, show me what to do, mentors, things like that. So it's been very valuable. So this is part of me returning that favor.
Like that. That's very generous of you. So I got to know, me being nosy, you host events.
Yes.
I haven't seen you live stream any of your events. How did you know you wanted your events to be in a membership?
Now, let me back up for a second and ask the question. You said you haven't seen me live stream.
I haven't seen you live stream any of your
Right.
events.
And I live streamed years ago. And the only reason I haven't live streamed is just because I just don't have the bandwidth. For me, eventually I will, because I need to bring somebody on. So we're in expansion mode now. And so now we're determining what roles need to be done. And one key role that has to be filled is what we call a community manager. Because now the membership key here is that important that I can't let things fall through the crack. This membership, the customer service in this membership has to be impeccable. Okay. So when we look at what vehicles, so at the end of the day, these are all vehicles we have to use to bring exposure to our brand, to our product, to our services. So the reason why you haven't seen me really haven't really seen me live stream, but you will eventually start to see me do that, because I have to for the purpose of this membership and also the expansion of the brand to bring in new members. It's because I already have very strong marketing channels, speaking, partnerships. I get put in front of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I have software partners that have millions of users. So I leverage those channels so the fact that, again, there's only 24 hours in a day, that's where I focus most of my time. Now I have solidified a product. Now the focus will still be to now leverage this new offering in all of those communities to kind of, and those that like the way I talk, that vibe with the way that I am, because I am a little quirky. I crack a lot of jokes. I sometimes they're like, does that guy actually really own a business? He's a little off the wall. And I go, yeah, because it doesn't have to be so stressful. And I know I could be pretty straightforward and excuse my language, anal, but that's in certain aspects of when I got things to do. I've got to talk about finances. We got to talk about structure. Yes, I got to be serious. But when I'm teaching and training, I like to have fun, because the running part of the business should be to a degree fun, so you'll start to see me live stream more. It's really, I need someone else to be able to do that and tell me where to show up and where to do. If I got to do it, I'm going to go with my proven channels, when I've got an organization sending me to London to speak in front of Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 businesses. There's tons of opportunity there.
I can see that. Again, I live stream so I can be omnipresent. And the last time you were on the show, you were talking about, can you be effective and be omnipresent at the same time? For me, I think it helps with my branding, but I am not sure because, as you said before, if you can't be, if you are everywhere at the same time, how are you paying attention to what platform needs what at that time? So having talked to you about the membership this time is really making me think about, what do I need to put in the membership and what can I live stream to keep my brand out there to be known? And another thing that what I like about what you're doing, you're not live streaming, but you're great at repurposing your content. How you do it is amazing, by the way.
Thank you. And again, like I said, live streaming is amazing. And if you had the bandwidth, you should be doing it. I ran my first virtual summit and everything was great except for the traffic. And this is where I realized, you ask speakers to promote if they can, at the end of the day, if you got great speakers, they're busy and you get it. And you kind of got to go, okay, whose responsibility is it to drive traffic? And you're doing all these events, but if you don't have a central hub, like a membership, a community thing, you're advertising, you get people's interest, they get in, but then there's no communication beyond that, or there's very little. And then you drift apart, out of sight, out of mind. So when I look at this membership, it's I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. Yeah, I definitely kind of lost my train of thought. I had like 18 thoughts going on at the same time. Tell me what the question was, and let me get back on, because I really had a good reason to say what I was about to say.
Okay. I saw being a live streamer, multi-streaming, being omnipresent as a good branding, and you made me think I need to hone it in with the membership.
Right, and that goes back to the foundation. So again, remember the going live streaming is going to be great. Being omnipresent is fantastic. And like, we're on all the platforms. We're just not as active on some as we are on the others, but we still post there because people do find us. And I think the big mistake people think is no one likes my post, so they're not interested. And that is so far from the truth. What people are doing is, I get people that will, I'll end up in one of my courses or programs or whatnot, and they'll be like, how'd you find me? And they'll be like, on Instagram. And I do very little on Instagram beyond the bare basic minimums. They never like the post because I do look and see how much, what interaction is going on, but they're paying attention. And so when you're not doing that, so you do have to have some level of omnipresence, but then you got to figure out, where am I to put most of my time? Now, most of my time is based on LinkedIn. So now I'll tell you another thing. So I'm actually, because of the membership, I'm going to start doing like conversations around certain topics in the membership, and, let people know about the membership. Now, I do now want that to be streamed, where before I didn't. And the reason why I didn't do a lot of streaming of a lot of my content, because I wanted people to sign up. I was building a list. And when they're able to just watch here, well, they get the information, but I don't get their information. And so that's a decision that you have to make, to go, and now you can, and now I'm going, all right, I'm past that. Now I can Now I want to live stream some things. So now we'll cherry pick what things we want to align with live streaming and what we won't broadcast. And so another thing with this new membership is I have a lot of free content on our website. We actually started yanking that now and putting it in the membership because we know the true value of that. And we're like, okay, now it's time to make people get off the fence. And so these are tactics, but we have to stand behind the fact that this membership is worth your money. This membership is worth your time, and give us a shot. You do your whole 30-day money back guarantee, no questions asked, all this stuff to try to make it easier for people to take that chance. But, and it's not going to be for everyone. So you're going to have people that go, no, this is not for me. And that's okay. But now this is an evolving process, and one thing I noticed is when I do make things 100% free, and this is, I think, a lot of people who do stuff for free, you realize that people don't value it as much. And especially when you put your heart into it as a content creator, as a virtual summit producer, and you give people free access, and they show up for day one, and then day two is down to 50%, and day three is down to 22%, and by day 5, you got 9 people, and you're like, but the content was great, absolutely. But if people were paying, that number stays high because they're going, okay, I paid, even if they pay $5, So I revamped our whole structure and strategy, pulled a lot of our free stuff. So we'll still do free stuff, but we got to put things behind that really had true value behind the membership. We still made it relatively low, but we wanted to add these actionable steps in there, because the actionable steps is what will keep us top of mind, but also keep them remembering why we're paying you $30 a month or $50 a month.
I like that. And like, get in on the ground floor right now. That's $30. I think that's very affordable, and you get action steps. I love that. Now, I've paid to be a part of a Creator U. It's like a Sam Cart thing. It has a lot of content, but I'm hardly ever in there. And like you said, it doesn't have like any interactions. I did get a free course that was a cohort, and before we signed up, the lady, shout out to Sarah Pfeiffer, who had the course, she said, I expect you to be here, I expect you to go through the content, and I expect you to interact. I showed up every day, but she had a cohort.
Yeah, absolutely. And the cohort feeds off of each other. And this is how you learn. So it's not like, anybody watching this recording or watching live now, I can't see the chat, so I don't know what's going on out there yet. We understand there's a lot of moving parts. The objective here is just to get started, and you have to have a solid foundation or a solid understanding of what the course is and what true value it brings. And I'd rather you have less than more. The minimal viable product is what they call it. And then start to tweak. So I was running, so let's take my accelerator in the city that I've been running. So I started running it in partnership with the New York City Public Library, which is another great opportunity for me to get in front of a huge audience, okay? Because they promote it, And my original thought was, all right, I'll do it in September at the library. And then I'll be focusing on, I want to take it to 4 other places, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Washington, D.C., because I started to build a following there. And I was going to do that in November. So now I'm in 4 cities. And in October, I realized, no, I still want to fine tune this tool, this accelerator. So I pushed everything back to January and just kept the New York City location. We're February now, end of March now, and it's still just New York City. But I perfected it so much that when I do roll it out, and this is me making adjustments, and that's not taking a step back. That's strategically structuring yourself to go, now this member is on this accelerator is on fire. And I used a lot of that info from a group that I actually have direct contact with to go, I'm going to bring you. So they're going to have their own set of their own section in the membership, because that is a free cohort, but we have such a connection. They're kind of like my little focus group area. And so where I'm able to do things with them and then go and then take that to into the membership, because I go, that's value, that's value, that's value. So you have a testing ground. So I have a testing ground for concepts and ideas to some of my partners. And so this is where I can come out the box and think solely out the box and not worry about it failing or not, because there's still going to be some level of value. I just can't pinpoint what the value is. I just need to do it and then figure out what the value is, not based on what I think, but based on what an audience actually thinks.
Yeah. Another great benefit of having that membership. Now, when I first started out, I started live streaming because, I started multi streaming because people told me they did not want to join me on Facebook. Like, I hurt their feelings that I asked them to leave LinkedIn to join me on Facebook. So I thought I wouldn't ask them to leave their platform. I would live stream and meet them where they are. But as you said, build a list. I was not building a list. When they watched me live stream, they just watched me. They could interact or not. They had that choice. And I did not know. All I could see is that someone was watching. And that was it. So you make a very good point, again, about having a membership. That way you build your list. And building a list is important because I've known people who were asked to leave LinkedIn. I've known people who've been asked to leave Facebook. And if you don't have a list, you just lost your audience.
You just lost your audience. And that's the issue with building your community on a third-party platform. And I won't do that. I leverage the platforms to get people off of them into my community, and they can still leverage their community, leverage the tool that they love the most. But the objective is, how can I build as much value that they want to come to us? And you have to understand, well, what is the problem that they have, and how am I supposed to be looked at as the one that will do it? I mean, our main focus is, and this took us a year. I built a board of advisors to really help me and challenge me and think, to the point where I realized, yeah, we got courses on this and training on that. And when I was in Zach Spuckler's membership program, he was like, do one thing really, really well. And that's when I had to sit back and go, okay, I got programs on partnerships. I got programs on SEO. I got programs on this. So sometimes the message gets very muddy when you're trying to promote to people, because everybody doesn't need that. But I realized everybody needs strategy. And that's when I said, okay, so that's my only talking point, even though I have all these other things. They're just an added benefit of interacting with Jimmy Newson and moving forward small business and anything that I'm connected with. And now it helped me channel and focus. So my message is always the same, or it's very, very aligned and very similar. So even if I talk digital marketing, it's in relationship to strategy. Even if I talk SEO, it's in relationship to strategy. If I talk anything, it has to be in relationships to strategy, or I don't talk about it.
That makes sense. Yeah, I've been following you for a while, and one of my favorite things about you were the events you held on lead magnets, and I think I got a pretty good grasp on lead magnets because I attended your event. After that, I attended an event on SEO, and I feel like I got a good grasp on SEO because I attended that event. And now that we're moving on to strategy, I feel like I get to follow along with you because I wasn't using it that way until I heard you talk about it. So like, you bring a lot of things to my attention. So you guys, if you don't know Jimmy Newson by now, if you follow directions of the things he say, you will get the things that he tell you you will get.
Yeah, thank you. And like I said, and I don't know. So our mission is to save 1 million businesses from failure by 2050, leveraging innovation, technology, and strategy. I probably should have led with that. Someone told me I should have led with that on a call I did earlier this week. But again, these are the types of things you have to come up with to get people excited about working with you, partnering with you, we're hiring you, and with that, that's part of my job, is to have you, Erica, no matter what you come to of mine, always walk away with value and something that you go, wow, I think this is going to be really pivotal in the next stage of my career, my business, and all of that stuff. If that's what people are getting from me, then I'm doing my job.
I feel like all the things that you teach, I can use towards my own events. So yeah, I do get a lot of value from speaking with you and attending your events. And if you didn't know, I appreciate that. I want to
I
say thank
appreciate you too.
you. You give so freely of your information. All people need to do is just follow through.
Yeah. And again, and that's where we had to figure out that whole accountability side of the thing. When we looked at memberships, and so this could be a tip, and this is what we got from Zach again, there's 3 types of memberships: course based or content based, which can include courses and blogs and all that, content, accountability, or community. So I threw content out the window, and I said it's a combination of accountability and community. Community can feed off each other. Once the fire is lit, the spark turns into a small flame that grows into a fire. So now the community is active. But the accountability is the other element that allows us to go, how do we make sure that they're leveraging it? And this takes time to think about these type of things. And that's when we said we don't want to base it on courses or content, because then that means they have to consume it. And if they have issues trying to do that, then the account's going to go dormant. And that's why I said, so we're going to dial in on the accountability. We'll create something that's easy for them to do. And a lot of these lessons are going to be fairly simple, because we don't want you struggling trying to get it done. Not saying that everything will be simple. If you're not technically savvy, it might be a little challenging at first. But just like anything else, you're not good at talking on the phone. So you talk on the phone until you are good at it. And then now it's just a second nature thing. So we're introducing those that are not necessarily tech savvy, but we're also providing a roadmap to, all right, we just need to accomplish this one thing this month that should help improve some aspect of your business. And we're picking topics that it can be across multiple industries. It's not specific to one specific industry, but you input the information that is specific to your industry as you do the lesson.
I see that. One of my favorite things that you do, that I've seen you use slides, but not only do you use slides, you do a walkthrough, like how you showed moving forward small business membership site. You walked us through it. I like that, because whenever you're explaining a platform that you use, you show me how you use it. I can't really get that from slides. So I really appreciate the walkthroughs that you do. So,
and then again, there becomes the value of why they should be in your membership, because you can give people slides, but if they don't have any context around the slide, they're not going to get out of it what they think they should. And when you're able to go in and go, and this is exactly how I would go, step 1, 2, 3, 4. Here are the 6 steps I would do to analyze a competitor. Here are the 6 steps I would do to figure out who my 5 competitors are, my 5 types of competitors are, because there are 5 of them, and now you're going, oh, that's pretty easy. And they go, absolutely. It's not about the what, it is now about the how. How do I get it done? I know what to do. I just don't exactly know how to get it done. It looks scary. It looks tough. It looks like it's not going to be easy. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a lot of fun.
I can see that. I have another question about working with your panel that you put together, and thinking big. How did you know that you weren't thinking big enough?
I was always thinking big enough. What I wasn't doing was thinking clear enough.
Oh,
that was the difference, because everybody's got grand ideas of what they want to do, or some level of an idea. But then when you try to tell people about it, you don't say it the same way every time. People look at you like deer in headlights, because they're like, I don't know if that's even possible, or they may be down on you. I don't think you could do that. That requires a person that you are not, it hurts, it cuts deep. And when you're trying to do something and you really want to put a professional stamp on it, you need feedback from people who've been there, who've done it, and who can be honest and real with you. because I think I forget, somebody said that the beautiful thing about entrepreneurs is they're in love with their ideas. The bad thing about entrepreneurs is they're in love with their ideas. When is enough enough?
Yeah.
When are you enthusiastically going down the wrong direction because you've been told not to give up, but this is not really the direction you should be going in, but you're not giving up because you're still thinking, but entrepreneurs never give up. So you need a reality check. And that was the board to go, and I remember on my first or second board meeting, I got my butt kicked. And at the end, I was physically exhausted. It was a virtual Zoom with 9 other people. And at the end of it, I was like, to the point where I was like, man, why am I in business? And it was because they were asking questions. They're like, okay, you said that, but what does that really mean? And that's when I realized it's not that you don't have the passion, you don't have the right words. You haven't clarified to the point where all 9 people who have 9 different backgrounds, 9 different ideas of what success looks like, 9 different paths they've taken to be where they are, can all agree that we all understood what you just said.
Yeah. I just assumed my English was terrible. And it's my first and only language. So now it's all about clarity and not about how good my English is.
Right. And then that goes back to what? Strategy. What is the big vision? What are the values that you operate from? Then from those 2, what are the focus areas that we're going to focus on for the year? We only want up to 3. And up in those focus areas, then come your objectives to achieve those focus areas. And in those objectives are your KPIs and the projects that are going to be done to achieve the objective, and then the objective helps bring forth the focus area, and the focus area is what helps you get closer to the vision. Everything leads up. So if you don't start at the top with the focus of why we exist or what we're trying to be in 5 years, 10 years, then you don't know what you're doing at the bottom is contributing to that or not. And now you've got clarity. So if there's buy-in from the top, everything else has to align in order for that to come true. Okay. And that's the clarity. And then when I was able to finally say what that is, now everything else became clearer. And now I was able to articulate better what we're trying to do, how we're going to do it, why I believe we can do it, and what steps do we need to take to actually get it done.
So knowing all of that, did that change your definition of what success means for you?
It gave more clarity to what success means to me. But as a teacher, as an educator, it was more inspiring because now I go, now this is a repeatable process that I could actually give to others. And that is why the membership is called the Strategy Alignment and Execution Membership, because that encompasses all of what I just explained to you. And now we start, everybody's got this mindset of, all right, I'm all about strategy. I'm a strategy professional. I'm no longer a whatever it is. I'm not a shoemaker. I'm not a carpet cleaner. I'm not a consultant coach. I'm a strategy aligned professional. And now with that lens, I'm going to go, all right, where are we trying to go? And what are we going to do to get there?
Like that. So what is your definition of success?
I don't know yet, actually. I think, all right, so let's do this. I think a definition of success for me is doing what you love to do. You're happy at doing it, and you're actually making a living so you don't have to do anything else.
Okay. I might have to change mine then.
And I kind of just made that up on the spot, but it makes sense because I always said, if I could pick coconuts on an island and make enough to live, I would probably do that. I probably wouldn't because I'm just too high strung to do that. But that is an ideal of a simple life. And what's important? Happiness.
Yeah. I do enjoy completing the things I start. So
yeah,
that makes absolutely
sense. There just have to be a future in picking coconuts. I got to make sure that nothing's going to ever disturb that, or else, this is not a very viable business to sustain myself for the rest of my life.
Okay. I probably have an orange grove before a coconut grove.
Yeah.
All right. Jimmy, tell people, where's your favorite social media hangout spot?
LinkedIn.
I love LinkedIn too.
It's just, I mean, I post on all the channels, and my LinkedIn is the one that just starts to crush it. And it's because I'm B2B. Now, if you're B2C, LinkedIn may not, I think it's still important, but Instagram and Facebook and TikTok are probably going to be great for you. I mean, like, again, I'm on those and I do well on them. I mean, I do okay. There's not a lot of action, but we're going to turn that up because now we've zoned in on something that we want to really adopt for the next couple of years, which is the community. But LinkedIn is where I make progress. LinkedIn is where people reach out to me that are 10 times bigger than me, going, hey, we read an article about you. We connect. We need to connect with you. We need to talk to you, because I'm very clear on what we do and how we help people. And those people are typically professionals, business owners, founders, entrepreneurs, what have you,
Okay.
decision makers.
I knew you were a big fan of LinkedIn. So now I got to know, do you get your most of your business through your writing on LinkedIn or through your events?
Mostly through my events, but that's starting to change because we're starting to, again, every piece of content has a purpose. And part of it for me was just brand awareness and visibility. Now it is definitely drawing in people, and the key is, why are they drawing them in? Sometimes there's no strong call to action, but it's kind of implied based on the topics that I'm choosing to now write about. LinkedIn newsletter, that's a great platform, a great tool, because it gives us the ability to, when people follow you, if anybody's not doing newsletters, there's a couple of really key advantages of that. One is, everybody that's subscribed to your newsletter, every time you hit publish, every single one of them are hit notified in the inbox of LinkedIn, but it also sends an email directly to them as well. And the second thing is, and this is something I had to find out because I'm an SEO guy, is I can publish an article on my website, and I can fully publish the same article in LinkedIn newsletter, and it's not considered duplicate content. So now, at the end of the day, I publish on my website to start to continue to build momentum for the authority of my website and anybody that's going there and finding my content there. But on LinkedIn newsletter, I've got 500 people following me, and I got friends that have thousands of people following their newsletter. All those people get notified of that right then. The difference is, at the end of that, I'm going to add a call to action in the newsletter to drive anybody to something on my website. So if they do, or if they are compelled enough to take action on what they're reading, there is an opportunity to do so, which that same call to action may not exist on the blog post version on the website.
Yeah.
So there's key elements. And this is, again, these are all vehicles. You can't do them all, especially if you're by yourself or you have a small team. So you pick the ones that are most effective for you at the time. And then you figure out, how do I take that and start to build momentum, build financial revenue channels. And then you can reinvest that into expanding the team. And so and this is something that eventually you want to take off of your plate. If you're a C-level exec, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, so you can still go back and focus on the bigger picture, because I do this thing called the $10,000 an hour strategy. And, social media stuff is the $10 to $100 category. You do it because you have to, but your objective is to get to $1,000 an hour task and $10,000 an hour task, and that's one of the courses that are in the membership, that people get, because this is all minds. It's a combination of action, but it's also a combination of mindset to start to switch the dynamic of how you think and why you're making the decisions you make.
I like that. Mindset and action. Another t-shirt. Oh. So Facebook Reels. Yep. If you get 10,000 views in 30 days, they will give you up to $12,000. After hearing you talk about LinkedIn articles, I feel like I have a better chance of building my list and making money with LinkedIn articles than I do of having a Facebook reel reach 10,000
Not
views.
necessarily.
No.
Okay. Nope. And I'm going to tell you why. Strategy. At the end of the day, if you decide that your audience is on Facebook, and if the target is 10,000 views, you have to build an actual strategy around, well, how would I get 10,000? That's it. You have to determine if that's that important. There is a way. So you have to figure it out. So it's one thing to say, and this is where I'm working on trying to I'm working with I gotta figure out how to say this. There's two very big organizations that I'm working on getting into. We're in negotiation now. They have small business owners in these organizations that are struggling. And these are big companies that are giving them incredible opportunities to be a part of their community and be able to sell their products or get access to very lucrative contracts and deals, okay? Why are they failing? Because just because you give the person an opportunity doesn't mean they're going to be successful with it unless you show them how to use it to be successful with it. Because you're assuming they're going to come into this thing and already know how to take advantage of this opportunity. And so if I don't now go, all right, this is great, this is an opportunity. All right, let's get a meeting of the minds. And maybe that's just me and myself and I. And I go, all right, that's a great opportunity. Everybody right now, how many ways can we get to 10,000? Partnerships, blah, 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 this, boom. We can do that. We don't have the ability to do that. You have to plan, and you're writing down and going, all right, what if we got to 5,000? That's incredible, because that momentum means that if I figure out what's working, maybe we do the 80-20 rule, the Pareto's 80-20, what is the 20% that actually got us to 5,000? Let's double down on that and get rid of everything else. It's a strategy. Like when you said, I didn't know that they had the 10,000, like I don't do Facebook reels, but that's powerful and that's enticing enough for me to actually do it if I can get 12K out of it. So now I'm going, I would look at it and I would have to evaluate it and go, how important is that? And could I do it? And now I'm going to evaluate how others have done it. I'm going to say, is any of that in my wheelhouse? Do I know anybody? And what it would take. Now, if I can create a bit of a strategic plan, now I have something that goes, now if I do this, something else has to stop. So what is not working that I can get rid of and replace it with this? And this would be the only thing I may do on Facebook. But if that is that powerful, it's enough.
Now I feel like I got to do some more research. I am a big fan of Molly Mahoney. She told me to do this last year when they were offering 30,000 instead of 12. And I just sat there.
Yeah, because because again, it's the how, not the what. We know what it is. We just don't necessarily know how to do it. So we either have to find someone who did it and see if we can reverse engineer it and make it our own and do it, or find someone who goes, yeah, here's the step-by-step to do it. All right, I'll just do that and try it and see if it works. Mm-hmm. But it's again goes back to the how. Just because it's an opportunity doesn't mean that you're going to be able to take advantage of it, because you're still thinking with the fact that I have never done it, so I don't know what to do, and now you're stuck. That's the exact example of why we created the membership.
Another good reason to join the membership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and like I said, and this is why we're having so much success. And the last year has been great for us in regards to partnerships, where we're going to have access to thousands of businesses that need this, because one of the people that we're talking to, she goes, you created what most programs are missing: the accountable, actionable structure that exists within every program.
I see that. And I do believe that. Everything that you showed me on the website, I do feel that it could help me just better what I'm doing with virtual events, how I can help the clients I work with be better with their virtual events. Now, when I work with a client, I want to win. That's all I tell them. The first thing I tell them is I want to win, and how I win is that we go over your goals and we meet each of these. And my bright idea after the event is over is to repurpose that content. But now I know to tell them need a membership
Now
instead
let me
of
pause
just
you for a second, because you said something really cool. And one of my board members did this to me. You go, I tell every client, I want to win. Okay. You know what that is?
what?
That's a value, not respect, not honesty, not determination. I want to win. So you take that and you turn it into a value that says, you know, one of the key values is we are winners and we make winners. Now you put that as what value for your membership. People are going, well, damn, I want to win. And if you're willing to fight that hard for me to win, yes, you're that much closer to getting a yes. And that becomes the language. And again, that's part of the strategy. You know what your big vision is and the values that everyone has to operate by. So so let's put it into context. So as the owner, you have the mentality that everybody has to win with me. So now now you know when you're not doing things that require people to win. Now the employees that you may hire or vendors, you go, our objective is everybody wins. So now and they go, if that's a value you can be behind, then you could work for this company. So now they know when they're not giving their all to help this person win. Now, if winning allows them to have to break a couple of rules, they know they can do that now. And now for the end user, they go, man, these guys over at Virtual Summit Strategy, they helped me win. And they told me from the beginning I was going to win. And you should probably go talk to them. And the person is going, yeah. They didn't say nothing, you know, their integrity is strong. You know, they're trustworthy. He goes, they helped me win. And now I'm in a better place. It's the value is very unique to you and to the organization, which is a differentiating factor for your organization when you're talking to people about why they should join you versus joining someone else.
Yeah.
That's foundation.
I like that. Yeah. Hearing you talk about that made me come up with my own tortoise and the hare story for why I want to win. How the hare lollygag instead of instead of doing the work that he needed to do. Like they always say 3 months to host an event. You can actually do it in a few days. You can throw an event together that's really well run in a few days if you know what your goals are. So yeah, I appreciate that, Jimmy.
You're welcome. So yeah, so that's one. So when you join, you already got the first one, and we walk you through a whole process just on vision. I mean, on values, because it's that important. It determines how everyone, including yourself, interacts and acts within the organization and around the organization.
Yeah, I like that. I'm excited about joining. I am. Well, Jimmy, I've kept you here over an hour, and I appreciate you hanging out with me for over an hour.
My pleasure.
Anything you want people to know about virtual events and memberships before we go?
Yeah, just no matter where you are, you know, you want to look at what are the missing pieces that help you provide the most value for people. You know, and again, you're already doing the virtual summit part. You're already doing the virtual event part. Focus on how am I going to build this community after that event is done? And what are the actionable items I can do on repeat that will keep them activated and active throughout the, you know, so I can keep them longer. I can increase that lifetime value of that individual.
Yeah. I appreciate your time, Jimmy. Appreciate you sharing your knowledge very generously, by the way.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to check out our membership, just go to movingforwardsmallbusiness.com. You know, if you want to drop the chat in the link in any of the chats, they can go there and check it out. If you got questions, ask me. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Again, as you can see, you kind of see what I'm about. And if you like that type of thing, then we might gel.
All right.